It is official. The 49ers have traded Deebo Samuel. Yesterday, I went live and I told you guys that it was imminent. It was indeed imminent. Deebo Samuel has been traded from San Francisco to the Washington Commanders for the price of a 5th-round draft pick. The 49ers previously did not have a 5th-round pick in this upcoming NFL draft. It had been lost because of an accounting error. The NFL stripped the 49ers of that 5th-round pick. Well, now the 49ers have a pick in that money round. We had predicted that Deebo Samuel would go for about a 5th-round pick, and that's great for San Francisco because they have 11 picks in the draft. Of course, Deebo requested a trade about 3 weeks ago, and the 49ers decided to oblige it because they realized that from efficiency perspective, they're better off moving on and saving the $17 million. Look, the horses came up. They thought that I had some food for them. Unfortunately, I do not have food for them, but they're going to be here over the course of this 49ers update with a really nice sunset, actually, in the background. But how about the Deebo Samuel trade update with the horses thinking that they're about to get fed? Ironically, Deebo Samuel joins Jaden Daniels, the Washington Commanders quarterback, before Brandon Ayuk. Remember, Brandon Ayuk last offseason was on his media tour, going on to some of those podcasts, and took Jaden Daniels with him, and everybody said, are the 49ers going to trade Jaden Daniels to the, or Brandon Ayuk to the Commanders and Jaden Daniels? Obviously, that did not happen, but Deebo Samuel is now rejoining Adam Peters with the Washington Commanders. The Commanders have needed some firepower to join Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Jaden Daniels, a really good quarterback, and I think that with Cliff Kingsbury calling this offense, he's going to be able to use Deebo Samuel in a way that gives Deebo a good chance to regain efficiency, especially after a year that was plagued by the oblique injury and also the pneumonia that hospitalized Deebo Samuel. And the 49ers get to move forward. They're going to incur $31.55 million in dead money this year. That is the money that they already paid Deebo Samuel but had yet to hit the cap. But for San Francisco, it was worth it because they save over $17 million in the bigger picture. And everything that the 49ers are doing right now must be centered around building an efficient roster surrounding Brock Purdy. And the 49ers, this is the hard truth. This is what a lot of people aren't talking about, but I'm not here to sugarcoat things about the 49ers. I'm here to tell you the truth of how this team is constructed. They ranked last, dead last, in average yards of separation per at the time of completion or incompletion in 2024. They were not good enough against man coverage. Obviously, losing Brandon Ayuk for most of this season, losing Christian McCaffrey for most of this season were the primary catalysts behind this, but it exposed the problem with relying on Deebo Samuel within the context of a Brock Purdy offense. Brock Purdy is a quarterback who is reliant. You guys have me? Mike, let me know if I'm still here. Somebody tried to call me and it kind of disrupted the stream there. But Brock Purdy is a quarterback who is obviously going to be reliant, like any intermediate to deep passer, any guy that is scrambling around behind the line of scrimmage, extending plays. He's going to be reliant on some separation from his receivers against man coverage. And the 49ers weren't getting that last year. And Deebo Samuel was one of the 49ers' featured weapons, and he was featured in a way that the 49ers needed more separation, especially when Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey were unavailable. So San Francisco is in a position now where every single move that they make is going to be needed to be geared around their big financial investment in Brock Purdy. And Deebo Samuel was obviously in his prime in 2021. He was obviously an ideal fit with what the 49ers were doing when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. But moving forward here, he's 29 years old now. It became very, very apparent that it was not in the cards for the 49ers to proceed this relationship with Deebo Samuel beyond the 2024 season. He was entering a lame duck year. The final season on Deebo Samuel's extension, which had been negotiated ahead of the 2022 season, the final season was this year. He wanted a new contract, just like anybody of Deebo Samuel's stature would want a new contract. And the 49ers probably were willing to pay Deebo Samuel at a lower range level, but they definitely weren't willing to pay him at the level that the Commanders are going to pay him. We don't know exactly what that number is going to be from Washington, but obviously Washington is more willing to inherit and then pay Deebo Samuel than the 49ers. So anytime that the player of Deebo's stature does enter a lame duck year and a team doesn't want to extend him, a trade is what makes sense. And that is exactly what happened here. The 49ers now own 11 picks in the 2025 draft. John Lynch talked about the draft being the lifeblood for the 49ers. It obviously is. When you see teams like the Buffalo Bills rehaul their entire roster around Josh Allen to be more cost efficient, when you see the Rams doing the same thing, when you see the Philadelphia Eagles doing that to the defensive side of the football, taking veterans out of the equation and moving on to heavy cost control drafts, you can expect the 49ers to do much of the same as the page turns to Brock Purdy at that quarterback position. They cannot make this a post-June 1st trade, nor should the 49ers make this a post-June 1st trade. You want draft compensation, and to get draft compensation, you trade before the NFL draft. The June 1st designation for a cut or for a trade that happens after June 1st, all that does is it keeps the dead money at bay and has it hit, well, a lot of it hit in future years, in 2026. The 49ers know that they're going to have to pay the dead money bill for any contract. That's just how it works in the NFL. That money is going to come due against the salary cap no matter what. So the 49ers are electing to take the dead money hit that's going to be associated with paying Deebo Samuel's signing bonus on the cap and his restructured option bonus on the cap. They're electing to take all of that money on the cap now. Again, the 49ers, according to my calculations, have over $60 million in 2025 cap space on a 53-man equation. And when you have that much money in the near term, that was the plan for the 49ers. When you have that much money in the near term, you have the flexibility to make the move that will help you the most now. And the move that's going to help the 49ers the most now is acquiring another draft pick. So they have 11 draft picks. This is going to eat into their cap situation an additional $16 million or so. Deebo Samuel's cap hit had been $15 million. Now it's going to be $31.6 million because you're just going to take that damage from the future, accelerate it now. He's not going to count any dead money beyond this season. So it's like ripping the Band-Aid off. Add $16 million to the cap hit for that $31.6 million hit. So you could subtract $16 million from $61 million and you go down to about $45 million in space. Yes, the 49ers might still entertain a trade for Brandon Ayuk as well as they try to make this roster more efficient. I think it's very important for 49ers fans to be thankful for what Deebo Samuel brought this football team. Back in 2019, San Francisco was coming off a 4-12 season. They were so bad that they were picked to coach the Senior Bowl. You have to be bad to be picked to coach the Senior Bowl. At the Senior Bowl, they discovered a bulldozer of a receiver named Deebo Samuel. He knocked the socks off the 49ers staff, and then he would knock the socks off of defenders with his running style. Over his prime with the 49ers, Deebo Samuel made NFL history. The most yards after contact per reception of anyone that we have ever seen. We haven't seen a bulldozer like that play a position known for nimble players like wide receiver. The 49ers with Deebo Samuel were able to zag while other teams zigged. But obviously San Francisco saw this as a playing style that might not be sustainable for the long term. They saw Deebo Samuel's play erode over the course of 2025 or 2024, moving into 2025. I think one of the reasons behind it was obvious. He got hurt. He hurt his oblique in week 2 at Minnesota after a really good training camp, right? And he then contracted pneumonia and had to go to the hospital week 7, right after the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So he never was really able to fully get going this season. And then it turned into off-field frustration where he said that he needed the football more. And right after he said that, he dropped the pass that probably would have won the game against the Rams. And, you know, a lot of people say that was the beginning of the end. I think the beginning of the end might have been when Ricky Pearsall was drafted in 2024. There was no way that the 49ers are trying to build a more cost-efficient team around Brock Purdy. We're going to be able to keep both Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk beyond the 2024 season. I mean, that was extremely improbable. They contorted themselves to make it work for 2024. And they might have contorted themselves to make it work for 2025 had they gotten A-plus performance from Deebo Samuel, but they didn't. And they saw the style of quarterback that Brock Purdy was evolving into. They saw that he needed separation more than bulldozer capability, and Deebo Samuel's more of a bulldozer than he is a separator. So the 49ers made the move that they absolutely had to make. They recouped draft capital for Deebo Samuel. A lot of people told you it would be impossible to recoup draft capital for Deebo Samuel. I told you that it wouldn't. I told you that the 49ers would be willing to shoulder the cap hit now and that he'd probably be worth a 5th-round pick. And it looks like that indeed happens. The 49ers now have 11 draft picks. The next question will be, does the boombox continue? Because it was Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams coming out with the boombox for the 49ers. Maybe somebody else has to come out with a boombox, or maybe the 49ers will put that to rest. According to Diana Rossini, the 49ers were hoping for a 4th-round pick. They end up getting that 5th-rounder. I think that the 5 always seemed to be the logical conclusion, and they couldn't make it a conditional pick if they wanted to use that selection in this year's draft. Because if it's a conditional pick, then the season has to play out before you see if that can move up to a 4th or 3rd rounder. So the 49ers are able to wash their hands of this situation. This was a divorce that appeared likely. It appeared imminent yesterday. It was in fact imminent. Deebo Samuel is headed to the Commanders. As I said earlier, I think it's really important to be thankful for the time that Deebo Samuel delivered. Starting with the 2019 Senior Bowl, 49ers then went Mobile to Miami. Mobile to Miami being the Super Bowl, 54 for San Francisco. Deebo Samuel delivered that monster 2021 season. We'll remember plays like the long 3rd and 20 explosion off the screen against the Chicago Bears in 2021. We'll remember his throw to Jawan Jennings on the trick play. We'll remember him playing running back, delivering on 3rd and 6 against the Packers in the snow. Deebo is one of a kind, and his run with the 49ers was impressive as hell. But sometimes the time comes for a team to turn the page, and the 49ers, with their financial structure now pivoting toward Brock Purdy, are building the team around Brock Purdy. I've run this update all the way into the dark. Beautiful sunset. The sun sets on the Deebo Samuel era. The 49ers have traded him to the Washington Commanders for a 5th-round pick. More soon. Wanted to give you guys the update. I got to step back into the party. We'll talk to you guys in a bit.